No one forgets the moment they realized that this storm was different.
We received a call about noon on Thursday, September 26th, from the National Weather Service. And that call said they were using the words catastrophic flooding. This is going to be the worst flooding that we've seen in North Carolina.
The governor called my cell phone. He said, this is going to be very bad. We talked about evacuations. The county was already initiating a voluntary evacuation.
We started doing that early notification with folks, emergency planning, with like our critical infrastructure, our hospitals, mutual aid groups, and other counties. We started interfacing with flood planning.
The Swannanoa community, we were doing a lot of outreach out there because on the resource communities, we have seen that there's a big disparity in environmental equity.
And Friday it came down that we actually took cell phones and recorded both English and Spanish message and went out and hit the siren and then played it on the loudspeaker.
That evening when I received a phone call from the sheriff asking if we could send out our school buses to begin evacuating people.
This is a potential historic event with catastrophic, deadly consequences.
Record-setting rainfall, high winds, and flooding tore through our mountains and valleys, leaving devastation in its path. Power lines fell, communication was lost, and roads were washed away.
You just kept realizing, this is not just the complexity of a type 1 storm, but it's the 7 or 8 disasters in one.
It's in times of great challenge that our true strength is revealed, not in what we endure alone, but in what we can accomplish together. Our community was broken. The county seal, which Helene had ripped from the wall of 200 College Street, provided a somber metaphor, and in the silence after the storm, we all faced the same question: how do we recover? The first answers came not from outside help, but from each other. Neighbors who had never spoken before cleared roads together. Families, friends, and strangers alike shared food, water, and valuable supplies.
Neighbors who did not know each other on Thursday, September 26th, less than 12 hours later, on Friday, September 27th, they knew each other. They knew their names. They knew their kids' names because they were pooling resources of food, water, generators, helping each other cut down trees from their yards and their roads. And that speaks to the resilience of the people of Buncombe County.
It felt like lightning. Everything was going quickly. Everyone was doing everything they could, and they were doing exactly what they were supposed to do. And I think the response was well coordinated and worked. It worked very well, including the community. The community came together in a way I don't think any of us even knew we could do. I get goosebumps thinking about it, remembering seeing the people.
What we did see was we saw neighbors who may have not known each other, who were having meals. They were meeting and taking care of each other and knocking on doors just to make sure.
In the midst of pandemonium, right? Of phones are out, water's out, power's out, roads are gone, Old Fort Mountain just fell down on top of I-40. All of the things that felt so apocalyptic, this little truck and trailer came from a local church, and these senior citizens who go to that church got out and they cooked a pancake breakfast for first responders. And to see them show up in the midst of all of this when it seems like there's nothing that makes any sense, and here are these folks who took it upon themselves to help the people who were helping, that when I saw that, it to me signaled everything that's right.
Alongside neighbors, emergency services were working around the clock. Firefighters, deputies, and EMS crews left their own damaged homes to protect and serve.
Because my guys, in spite of the fact that they lost their house, didn't know where they was gonna go, lay their head down, they came to work. They didn't even know their own situation, so they put that to the side to come and serve their community. Going back to my first comments about how we want to be the community we. If that's not a good definition, I don't know what would be.
The day of the storm, we had to pull our first responders to safety, and then after the storm, then the days after that, just going out and making sure that we tried to rescue the citizens that we could. And the county had pre-staged some swift water teams and high water vehicles prior to the storm, and utilizing them to help with some rescue effort.
And I had people that were at work that, once we lost service, couldn't even check on their family, let alone go home to try or get home to be able to see what their property was like. And as they were able to finally cut their way home several days later, they did have some damage at home. But yet they kept giving everything to the citizens that they were supposed and obligated to provide protection to. So to me, it just shows what kind of workforce we have, not only in Weaverville, but as a county across the whole.
And beyond them, county staff from every department stepped out of their everyday roles and into emergency service. They staffed shelters, managed warehouses, and delivered supplies where they were needed most.
Coming from a place where employees were not trained in emergency services. That is not what we do on a daily basis. There's a handful of staff that has that knowledge, but for 1,600 or so employees to step into a role that they have never done before and come out on top, absolutely miraculous. We can talk about staff that worked in a warehouse, donation management, volunteer management, shelter management. Every single employee found a way that they could plug in to help this community rebuild.
The response of our staff was nothing short of miraculous. When many of our staff had been impacted by the storm, they showed up day in and day out, caring for the residents of Buncombe County.
Then that means somebody from the tax office or does GIS is now helping in the incident command post with laying out maps or understanding how to do damage assessments and things like that. That, okay, my office is closed, I can't go in and do my regular job, but there are ways I can help. And I think that's what that county staff did in that incident, is that as we became and become more familiar with One Buncombe, that's what it turned into, is that everybody had one goal and one mission in mind.
Nobody ever had to ask anyone to come back to work or say, I need you to work nights and weekends. Everyone just showed up as soon as they could, and they stayed and took the responsibility.
Other pieces of the puzzle arrived in the shape of recovery partners like the Army, FEMA, regional EMS and communication teams, Army Corps of Engineers, the Fire Department of New York, all joining in efforts at the Emergency Operations Center.
Well, we're grateful for the folks who've came here from all across the country to help us get back.
The partners that come here to mutual aid us, all those people were phenomenal. We had EMS agencies from all over the country that come in to help. We had emergency management agencies from all over the country that come in to help. We had fire departments and public safety that supported our local fire departments. And we all come together in remarkable ways.
In those first days, survival meant food, water, and safety.
I got a call from Assistant City Manager Ben Woody, and he said that the water system had been knocked out. It had been, sections of it had been destroyed.
The city of Asheville launched an unprecedented effort to bring the damaged water system back online. Meanwhile, tanker trucks of clean water arrived at points of distribution, and residents lined up filling containers to take back to their homes.
The county needed to operate water distribution sites, and the manager reached out, and we were able to not only provide a place for the site, but also to provide some staff to help staff the site.
Local organizations like Bounty and Soul partnered with World Central Kitchen, turning warehouses of food on the verge of being lost into thousands of hot meals.
We were out delivering some food boxes, and World Central Kitchen was there delivering some meals, and we made a connection, and we said, we've got the produce, we've got the fresh food, you all have the chefs and the equipment, why don't we partner? And we were able to distribute about 2,000 hot meals a day.
MAHEC stepped up to provide staffing of vital medical personnel at points of distribution.
I got a phone call from Avril Pinder on Sunday afternoon, and she said, do you have any doctors who could serve at our AB Tech emergency medical shelter? There was a family practitioner, and I wish I knew her name, who was there. She'd been there for 36 hours and she said, I need help. I called Dr. Russell, Amy Russell, who's our chief medical officer, and I said, we got to help these people. Let's find a way to do it. Fortunately, because of the spirit of the people who work for us here at MAHEC, we staff that for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 3 full weeks.
Information and communication became as vital as food or water because it literally saved lives, connected us to resources and each other.
When we realized that the rest of the world couldn't communicate with us the way that they traditionally would, that was a big moment. We started getting those 911 messages through Facebook chat, and we also got those 911 messages through Let's Talk emails. Basically any way that someone could try to reach out to the county, they utilized that. And that was really hard. And I wasn't prepared for the type of messages that we were getting. There's one person in particular who stands out who reached out because there was a house on top of his friend. And his friend was a liver transplant patient and also had his daughter with him. And somehow had made contact with his wife, who had told his friend, who just took a chance and sent the message through Let's Talk. And so we took that to 911. 911 had not received that message, so they logged it into their CAD system and then took it down the hallway to Brittany in operations. And she was able to deploy a helicopter to that person who was in Black Mountain. And the hard thing with those types of messages is you don't know what happens to an individual, and so it stays with you in a way that I wasn't prepared for. I started crying when I got an email from his friend who had sent the initial email, and he wanted to let us know that his friend had survived, and the helicopter got to him, and they were able to get him to the hospital in time, and he had broken vertebrae, a number of broken bones, but altogether was going to heal despite all of the odds.
Twice daily press briefings broadcast over radio became lifelines for residents who joined friends and neighbors to hear the most up-to-date information on vital resources like showers, laundry, supplies, and medical support.
I was sitting in my home with my old Red Cross crank radio, and that was our lifeline for a while. And being able to hear the updates and even hear Avril's voice was very pivotal.
Took the responsibility of what it meant to get messages out to our community about safety, about food, about water, about shelter. Took that very seriously, and making sure that we folded language access into it, made sure that we tried to reach people who couldn't be reached.
Signs of recovery began to emerge. Roads were cleared, clean water started flowing, bridges were repaired, waterway cleanup efforts began, schools welcomed students again, businesses unlocked their doors. Each milestone not only marked progress, but shared a greater story of resilience.
Our community has already shown in the way that we've come together, in the way that people have stepped up, all across our community to help each other, to figure out how to chart a path forward. We have shown that we have tremendous resilience and a tremendous ability to bounce back.
The reasons why we wanted to open a coffee shop in the first place were for creating more shared spaces, and we were hoping that this could be one of them. We felt like our town needed more spaces like this, and while the hurdle then became twice as high for us to get open, the reason to open was also twice as high. We felt like if there was any reason for us to do this before, we definitely had that now.
People are seeing growth. People are starting to see the recovery efforts underway. We've been saying it's a marathon, not a sprint, for a long time, but what I really want to focus and be grateful for is the milestones that we have reached. The fact that debris sites are closing out, the waterways are open, businesses are coming back, water has been flowing now for several months, schools is back in session. So all the normal things of life are back, and I'm most grateful for that.
Through all the hardship, an undeniable truth emerged. We are stronger together. Our response was not about any one person or department. It was about unity, about neighbors helping neighbors, about people discovering that hope can be rebuilt.
What gives me hope for the near future is that there was a time where we all banded together regardless of our differences, and that mutual aid seems to keep going even to this day. I think that there is this new unity in working as a community.
One of the things that I've seen out of this storm is neighbors have got out and met neighbors that used to not even know each other, and they built stronger relationships. And I always tell people the single most thing that an emergency manager can do is build relationships.
We treat people different when we know them. We treat people different when it's our family. That's just part of human nature. And so that's why I want us to be more engaged in the community. And we're just not deputies or law enforcement. We're a part of the community. It's not us versus them. It's us being a part of them, because them is a part of us. Because had I known that was my mom in that trailer that went down the road, went down the river, man, it's a different impact. And we have to have that type of compassion for the community that we serve.
My hope, what I see coming to fruition, I hope is that we're seeing the newest, greatest generation. Because of what they've gone through, because they've seen this demonstration of community, people working together in the hardest and darkest of times, because they've had to be resilient, because they've had to grow through those things, they'll be prepared for whatever life has for them. And so I'm excited about our future, because our young people have been equipped in a way we would have never wanted them to, but now they have.
I have a tremendous appreciation for the heart of the employees that we have working for the city and the county and the surrounding cities here. I mean, people who truly are invested in and care about their community, whether it's going to work every day and helping us recover, or whether it's helping their neighbor who just needs a hand. I mean, I think, I might be biased, but I think we have some of the most incredible people, and the dedication is just unmatched.
Buncombe County has shown what resilience looks like.
Miraculous.
Challenged.
Heart.
Committed.
Caring.
Astronomical.
United.
Inspiring.
Adaptable.
Resolved.
As we continue to rebuild, we honor both what has been restored and what remains lost. The missing pieces that remind us of the lives, homes, and memories the storm took from us. Even in loss, we hold space for remembrance. And in our togetherness, we find hope.